going from an academic failure to a person who is sometimes maybe now considered an academic success. Took adversities, doubts, and internal struggles, but we overcame them. Even though I'm just a girl, I'm also a woman. Hello, my sweethearts. Episode 6, E-grade student turned into a Master of Science graduate, will be divided into 4 chapters. Chapter 1, Smart Child. Chapter 2, Social Life over Academics. Chapter 3, Defying the Doubts, and Chapter 4, The Journey of Desire. Chapter 1, Smart Child. When I moved to England from the Philippines, it was in the end of July, and then that September I went into reception class not knowing any words of English. My first languages are Ilocano and Tagalog. So I was a silent child. I didn't speak. I didn't know how to communicate with these people, and I lived in an area that was predominantly white. I was surrounded by other children and teachers that didn't look like me or spoke my language. The school did end up giving me a personal English teacher. She was a white woman, but she knew her Tagalog, girl. She would take me out of class and teach me. During those times, I could always take 1 or 2 other children with me. So when it was time for my English lesson, my teacher would get everyone to be silent and she'd ask who would want to go with me, and everyone's hands would be up and I'd be stood there choosing who I wanted to go with, and that's how I naturally gained friends. Children do generally learn languages quicker than adults, and learning a new language very young can increase cultural awareness, which is also valuable for gaining emotional and social intelligence. It can improve academic performance, and studies have suggested that children who are bilingual, multilingual, often perform better in tasks that require complex thinking and understanding. In year 3, I moved to a different school, and we would be separated in tables according to our academic level. I remember there were so many times I would sit there, I'd be finished my, say, 3rd worksheet, asking for my 4th, but everyone else was still on their 1st worksheet. So the teachers decided that me and 2 other boys would just go into the year 4 classes. I literally remember, I don't know why it stuck to me, sitting in the year 4 class learning German. I don't know why that's such a core memory. In my household, grades have never really been heavily emphasized. I have never really felt pressured in that way, but I do think when you're known, or you know that you're academically excelled at a young age, you then have higher chances of not wanting to try things out because you subconsciously gain a fear of failure. When you excel academically from a young age, it's easy to start believing that intelligence is something you're either born with or you're not. This fixed mindset does become a trap. If I faced difficulties in a new field or a different subject, I think I'm not naturally good at this, so what's the point of even trying? It's a common feeling for those who have been praised for their intelligence, as we start to equate our worth with how effortlessly we perform. What I've learned is that mindset really holds you back from growth. True success and fulfillment come from embracing challenges, persisting through difficulties, and understanding that skills can be developed and learned. The shift to a growth mindset from a fixed mindset, believing that effort and learning lead to improvement even if you weren't naturally gifted in something. Chapter 2, Social Life over Academics. In my time, year 5 to year 8 was considered middle school, and year 9 to year 11 was high school. Basically, my year was the founding year. There was this Catholic school and Anglican, I think, or is it called Protestant school. I was going to go to the Catholic one because at the time I was Catholic. When I was moving into middle school, they merged. I ended up staying in the same school from year 5 to year 11, and then I chose to stay on for another 2 years for sixth form. So I was around the same group of people, the same teachers, the same form group throughout my entire high school experience. And despite being a minority in a predominantly white British school, I had a very positive school life. My sister and I would actually laugh at the fact that we found out through social media that people at their schools would have culture days. We couldn't do that at our school because there wasn't enough diversity. But I am really grateful for the friends that I had and the overall experience of school. I truly did love high school. If I could choose to revisit those memories, I probably would because it was really fun for me. I even had 100% attendance at school. I really didn't want to miss a day of school. I just loved it that much. I would actually get FOMO if I didn't go to school. Most teachers would probably describe me as maybe a student who was more reserved and quiet. I wasn't really the type to put my hand up. I'd get given work and I'd just do it quietly and get it done. In most of my subjects, I was in set 2. I personally valued the social aspects of school more than anything. I preferred being in classes that had my friends in it. I remember being in set 1, but I didn't have any friends in it, and I was like, this is so boring. Like, I wish I was in the other set. I didn't want to be in set 1. I was more so an average student. I was mostly getting B grades. Even my GCSEs, it was heavily Bs with the few A's in there. I kind of always had the mindset that I did want good grades, but if I didn't get good grades, it wasn't something that I was gonna cry about. When I have children, I really want to emphasize the importance of the social aspect of school, not just academics. I really want to teach them the value of community, being a good friend, and really just making memories. It's important that they understand the value of social harmony, respect for different cultures and backgrounds. There are many children who are placed under immense pressure and high expectations, so they end up viewing school as a form of punishment. They just don't enjoy it. I believe in a more relaxed approach to learning. I think it's really needed where there's a balance between making memories and appreciating the lessons being taught both inside and outside of the classroom, because it really wasn't just about grades. It was about the life lessons, life experiences I gained in those years. My social life and personal connections also increased my emotional and social intelligence while strengthening my personal identity, which in my opinion is actually more important than just academic achievements. I believe we should teach young children not only to be good scholars, but also how to live, how to work in a team, and how to be open and understanding. They should learn the importance of community, how to cope with challenges, and also the importance of learning how their words can be harmful. Chapter 3, Defying the Doubts. If I could go back and change anything about my academic journey, I wouldn't. My choices shaped me and who I am today, even if those choices weren't what I wanted. In sixth form, I took history, English lit, and biology. I did do textiles for 1 year because it was the closest option to fashion design, but I did end up dropping it because it just wasn't giving at all. It wasn't the same. I think I chose those heavily academic subjects because I knew they were more valued, especially in Asian households. Having book smart subjects were more respectable. But if I really did follow my heart, my true desires, I would have taken heavily creative subjects. I would have still taken history because I loved history, but I probably would have taken art, media studies. If fashion design and fashion styling was a subject, I would have taken that. I never truly liked biology. I hated biology, despised it. But growing up in a Filipino household, if you know, you know, okay? Especially if you come from an immigrant Filipino household in the UK, you know how much nursing is kind of expected of you and is pushed onto you very, very strongly. So the reason why I ended up taking biology was because there was a time that nursing was also in my head. When my friends found out, I was like, okay, like I'm thinking I'm gonna be a nurse. I want to be a nurse. And they were like, babe, do you really want to be a nurse? I don't think you want to be a nurse, and you don't have to be a nurse, okay? And I'm like, no, I think I want to be a nurse. And they're like, no, honey, you don't. And I really didn't. They really knew me. I'm very glad I didn't pursue it because it really isn't me at all. The beauty industry or anything creative was never really discussed as a viable career, especially in our community. Academic or conventional professions are more highly promoted and highly regarded. I ended up getting an E in biology. Shock. Horror. And honestly, I wasn't surprised at all. But at the same time, I didn't care for it. I didn't really value it. So to me, it wasn't really a loss. It didn't really crush my heart. I think when I saw the grade, I kind of just laughed at it. Reflecting on it now, I think part of me maybe also just didn't believe I was capable of getting a good grade in something I wasn't passionate about. Instead of pushing myself, it's easier for me to say, oh well, I didn't even try. You don't really fail when you try, you just gain the lesson, so it's not really failing. Real failure is not attempting. I remember telling a teacher I didn't want to apply for nursing anymore for uni. I wanted to go into education. I wanted to do international education at a certain university. She told me it was too late to change my mind and that I wouldn't get in anyway because I didn't have the relevant work experience. Her saying it was too late, I was like, some of my friends during that time who wanted to change their application ended up changing because their teacher found a way. I felt like when I spoke to that specific teacher, she was very dismissive. And it was like she didn't even want to help me to find a different way. You already chose to apply for that, so whether you like it or not, whether you change your mind, I don't care. You're gonna stick to it. And that is why it is so important to have teachers who back you. I just accepted her word for it. I didn't change my application. Well, she said I couldn't. But now I realise if I had gone to a different teacher, they probably would have found a way for me to change my application. She also thought I wouldn't be able to get accepted to any universities, not knowing that day I actually accepted an offer at a Russell group on results day. She asked me to stay behind. She knew that I got an E. I thought she was going to help me with clearing. She was like, I'll see you next year then. And I was like, no, I'm going to university. I don't know if she was a fan or a hater because maybe she just wanted to see me again and again and again. Maybe she just didn't want to let me go. Basically, she was implying, well, baby, you're not going to university. You can't even get into university, so you're staying here. Well, really? Remember when I said that she said I couldn't change my application and I couldn't get into the course that I really wanted to get into because I didn't have the relevant work experience? Well, during clearing, I called the university that I originally wanted to actually go to, course that I wanted to get into, which was international education, and I got accepted. So even if I got an E, I still got into the university and the course that I wanted to originally get into. I remember going to the club because everyone was there during results day, and someone literally laughed in my face because they knew my grades. So it was like a laughing in your face, like you're actually dumb, like you're dumb, like ha ha ha, laughing in my face. And I remember all I did was laugh back because I was a bit shocked. People who are unhappy or insecure with their own lives often try to bring others down. I wasn't affected by my grades. I wasn't crying over my grades. I was still going to university. I was going regardless. When I look back, it kind of makes me annoyed Because who actually are you to make me feel bad about my grades? Who are you? If I'm not affected, who are you? When I went to university, I remember my first assignment, which actually shocked the friends I had in my seminar, because I was always like the type of person that kind of gave off I did everything last minute, and I was very chill about things. I ended up getting an 83%. If you're not from the UK, 70% is a first. When people do doubt you, you do have the power to kind of be like, well, I don't doubt myself. I know whatever happens, I'm still getting to where I want to be. So from these people laughing in my face for the grades I got, to the people who really didn't think I could get into university, well, darlings, I did finish my undergraduate degree. Thank you. And I did end up doing my master's. Chapter 4, The Journey of Desire. So I decided to pursue my master's degree partly because I wasn't really ready to enter the adult world. I was trying to prolong schooling, still kind of chasing that sense of academic validation. Growing up, I always thought that people with a master's degree were incredibly intelligente. I didn't think I was capable of achieving that myself. The idea that you had to be exceptionally smart to earn a master's degree was deeply ingrained in me, but I learned sometimes the desire to achieve something can be enough. I know a master's degree can give you social capital. I've said to them, oh, I'm doing a master's degree, or I've done a master's degree. They kind of give a shocked reaction. Really? You're not just beauty, you're also brains? Yeah. If I just said to them I was an E-grade student, they'd probably look at me and think, expected. People look at you differently when you say you have a master's degree, you have a PhD, you have a this, you're this, da, da, da. These labels, people can perceive you differently just because of the titles you hold. But the thing is, I really did choose a course that I really was so interested in, and I took a Master of Science in International Development. And I always get asked by people, what's that? It has a lot of factors and themes in it. So I remember doing a business plan. I remember doing an assignment on the differences between genders in the job market in developing countries. I learned stuff to do with psychology, sociology, education, international politics, globalization. I learned a lot. I loved the course. When I started my master's degree, I did have it in my head that I wanted a distinction, because a distinction was like proving to myself and like proving to everybody, smacking them in the face and being like, okay, I've got a Master of Science degree with the highest possible grade. The highest is a distinction, and that is what I'm going to get. That's the mindset I had entering. Before my master's degree, I had a habit of using negative language. I'd always say, oh, I'm so dumb. Like, am I dumb? The more I'd say that about myself, the more I really do act it. And if I didn't understand something, I'd get frustrated and very impatient with myself. I didn't give myself the time to really learn, which ties back to having a fixed mindset as a child rather than a growth mindset. When I was a bit more grown, I never saw myself as intelligent because so many people had reinforced that belief in me. During my master's degree, my language and the way I'd speak about myself to myself, I'd start saying, I'm so intelligent. I am the most intelligente girl ever. I'm so intelligente. And I really did believe it in myself. And then my grades reflected it. If you think you can't do something, you can't. If you think you can do something, you can, girl, and you will. I remember my first assignment was a 6,000 word essay. I completed it the night before it was due. Shock, horror. I always did every assignment the night before. I submitted that assignment 11:58 a.m, which was 2 minutes before the 12 noon deadline. Shock, horror. I literally always ended up submitting so last minute, and I was the type of person that would always not have any time to proofread. So that first draft, that had to be sent off. When I received my grade, it was a first. Have I always been this intelligente? I was getting back to back. I was like, wow. Y'all people who didn't even think I could get into university, know I'm doing a Master of Science course. Back to back firsts. Thank you very much. Like, that's when I really was affirmed. I wasn't dumb. I was very, very intelligente. I just needed to believe it in myself. You might be thinking, how was I getting these firsts even though I was doing it so last minute? Now, I do work well under pressure. To be fair, every single time I did it, I'd regret every single time, but then I'd do it again and again. I don't know why I did it, but then I was getting firsts. I don't recommend it. No. I wish people did their assignments way in advance, but I ended up not doing that. But my advice is, you have to spend so much time planning. For my masters, I really did do a lot of planning and research, and I think the reason why I did as well was because I really found what I was learning interesting and I was passionate about it. I did get a 2-1 for my undergraduate, except from the first ever assignment I did, which was 83%. Thank you very much. Every assignment was a 2-1. So I actually did always do my assignments the night before. You have to really work smart than work hard. I'd be in the library reading. They're not relevant to the assignment I'm doing. I'm just wasting time. Your introduction, what your argument is, and then the main body to affirm your argument, counter argument, and then conclusion. Also, always look at the mark scheme and what is expected and what the question is really asking. Stay on the question. I think there were a few assignments in my undergraduate that I went off topic. I'm just chatting to chat. My degree was obviously a Master of Science, so I did have research methods. I was doing SPSS and I hated it. I despised it, and that is actually my weak point. My strong point is writing essays. All these coding, I hated it so much. I was like, oh my god, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. If international development was an MA, I think I would have got a distinction 100%. Because it was an MSc, that's what held me back. It was the fact that it was a science. I got an 8 in biology, and this science in the Master of is also bringing me down. I absolutely despised the numbers. I despised the coding that I had to do. I really did get not a good grade on that module. When I finished my master's degree, I did get really anxious, so I didn't check my grades online. I waited until my grades and certificate were posted to me. When I opened them, I felt so disappointed in myself. I was really like, girl, are you so dumb? Are you dumb? Am I dumb? I was like not even happy at all. Master of Science in International Development with merit. But I wanted a distinction. Why have I got a merit? I was upset because I had placed such high expectations on myself. I really had to reframe my mindset. A few years ago, you couldn't even imagine doing a master's degree. There were people who didn't even think you could get into university, get a good grade. The fact that you even have a Master of Science degree, why are you not proud of yourself? So then I had to check myself. I'm like, hold on a minute, you're right. I'm here talking to myself. You're right. I should be so proud of myself. Me, who was an academic failure, now has a Master of Science degree. Thank you, I did that. Yeah, I did that all by myself. You will probably hear me talk about my Master of Science degree so many times. And I don't care if y'all get tired of it. I'm not gonna get tired of saying it. Okay, because it doesn't even just represent like this academic label. To me, it was the journey that got me to getting that label. I really had to overcome the doubts, my insecurities, the negative words from other people. So forgive me if I always talk about my Master of Science degree, because I really had to battle so much internal struggles to get to this point of me saying, yeah, I have a Master of Science degree. And it wasn't easy. So even if you doubt your capability to achieve what you desire, as long as you have faith in yourself, you can overcome any adversity that is thrown your way. Academic success isn't necessarily defined by grades, but by lessons you gather along the way and the courage to follow your own path, even when it diverges from what's expected of you. Just believing you are capable, even when people don't, will be enough for the path that was already yours. Even though I'm just a girl, I am also a woman. Thank you for listening to this episode. And I just wanted to also express my gratitude to every single kind and lovely and sweet comments that I receive all the time on my TikTok and Instagram from other girls, other women. My heart is gonna burst because I'm thinking the amount of people that I don't personally know but listen to this podcast, your words, you don't know how much it really gives me strength. It really does. I have been getting episode suggestions as well, and they are all coming, don't you worry. But you can message me privately on Instagram or TikTok. I reply to them all. Okay, it's at Maria X Antonette, MariaXAntoneTTE. You can catch up on my previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, depending on what platform you're on right now. And I will see you in my next episode. Bye, love you, bye.